Good morning, Justice Warriors. How are you this morning? It is Sunday, November 6th, 7:14 a.m. according to the computer that I'm looking at. So we're on daylight savings time. So really it would be like 8:15 if it weren't for that. So yes, I'm up early and I'm doing an early live. I almost got on here to do a live yesterday, but like I had mentioned, we had a very, very busy family day, and it was an awesome day, but I didn't want to try to rush another live into it. So the two lives that I did yesterday, I felt very rushed because I'm trying to compress stuff. So I'm going to try to just take it easy with this one and not rush so much because there's a lot to cover. Basically, I kind of felt a panic to get on and address the issue with Jared from AWP. And at the same time, I feel a distinct, hey, good morning, Charles and KT Van, thank you. I feel a distinct need to address not jumping to conclusions. It just strikes me as a desperate attempt to undermine the credibility of the entire crew of Adventures with Purpose. Like, oh, well, if Jared did something terrible 30 years ago and it was already gone through the court system and he's already, dealt with it from when he was a teenager. So, like, that cancels out. They didn't really find Kiely. Like, they're liars, right? They're just flat out liars. I mean, that's kind of where my mind goes with it. And then looking at the source where this information came from, um, I just don't even want to get into it. The Catfish crew. Of course, it came from the Catfish crew. So let's just leave that there. Let's just wait and see what's going on with that. Something else I want to say about it is that Jared was nowhere near Truckee when Doug and Nick discovered Kiely. And somebody who was in Truckee and in charge of everything has done some horrible things as an adult, kind of the same types of things, except for that he's never gone through the judicial system and he does not qualify to be a commissioned police officer. And yet he's the sheriff of Placer County. He was in charge of this missing 16-year-old missing persons case for the first 15 days. And even when he technically wasn't in charge anymore, because it was the Nevada County Sheriff that then handled the death investigation, he was still extremely, extremely in charge. Just an FYI, I can find this live on my phone, but not on my smart TV yet. Okay, that's good to know. There's so many quirks. So anyway, my point being that, there was not an Amber Alert for a missing teenager with a car. And I understand that she didn't meet a specific criteria. She was missing one. That one specific criteria, to my understanding, is that they didn't have an exact person that they thought might have taken her. So they thought that they might have some creeps that took her, and they did have a car involved, her car, so they could use a license plate, and she was underage, and it was a big deal, and they acted like it was an Amber Alert, and they kind of say, well, it was an Amber Alert, not really. And yet they had 45 FBI there immediately. I mean, none of it adds up. None of it adds up. And if Zuckerberg was there, boots on the ground, searching for a missing 16-year-old, I got a lot more questions. I don't know if you guys have heard that. I don't know if it's true, but that's kind of been a thing the last few days. So Brenda says, hey, thanks for the heads up. It's 10:18 here and I'm staying up to watch you. Oh, that's so nice, Brenda. So when you say here, I'm going to guess that you mean in the UK, maybe? So, this case is just so exacerbating. The gaslighting is bizarre, absolutely bizarre. So really, 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 I want to hit home. that this situation with Jared, that's all a buzz at the moment, kind of broke yesterday, is to me another red herring. It sounds like it's true, and it sounds like it's been dealt with appropriately. So, um, let's just move on. Remember, we all have to keep in mind that Cal Topo was part of the search from the very beginning. They knew, they absolutely knew about the fire cam footage from day one. They absolutely would have watched that fire cam footage and seen a vehicle going into the water. So, in legalese, it would be that they knew or they should have known. It's their job to know. So, not just for Cal Topo, but for all of the law enforcement and rescue squads, rescue teams. Um, it's completely insane. It's like miserably insane for them to try to say, oh, right, fire cams. Why didn't I think of that? They knew or should have known. It's their job to know. So, if they want to go with that story and they're going to stick to it and they're going to say that they had 160 professionals, 45 FBI agents, all standing within about 50, 60 feet of the car, that's a really pathetic way to go. Like, why not just bust this up and get rid of the corruption? Why not? Oh, because money? Times are changing, folks. Times are changing. Technology is king. And, us little YouTubers, we're not really much of anything except for that we are considered media now, I guess. And, it's like, watch out for the little guy, small but mighty. I'm not talking about me. I'm definitely not talking about me. I'm just a girl, right? Let me drink some water real quick. I hate it when I make a noise after I drink water and I'm watching my video and I'm like, don't do it, don't do it. So let me try it again. Much better. Okay. So, um, yeah, I want to give a huge shout out to a couple of channels. Please go subscribe to Kaz Thinks. Kas Thinks. She's brilliant. And she's only got a few hundred followers. And it's looking like YouTube is like deleting her followers or something. I don't know. But she's really, really good. Her videos have thousands of views. So how is it that she has less than 500 followers? That makes no sense. Something's going on there. I'll do a little more research. I believe that I was on a panel with her with Squirrels on Fire channel. I think she was one of the people on the panel. Sounds like the same voice. Whoever she is, man, she's super sharp. You will definitely get a lot out of her breakdown of the autopsy that she just did yesterday, I think. I just watched that a few minutes before going on. Also, Southern Logic, right? I wrote down Southern Living. That's an old magazine and home decor company that I love that's now called something else. Anyway, Southern Logic is also great. That's a channel, I think a little bit bigger than mine. I think he has about 4,000 followers. But let's address the trolls. All right. You're a diligent, hardworking girl. Oh, thank you, Charles. It's just it's where my heart is at. I feel a very strong pull to keep covering this case. Something ain't right. Something is dreadfully wrong and it needs to be addressed. That whole freaking autopsy is dreadfully wrong. Okay. And Kaz Thinks broke it down very, very well. That's funny. Kaz Thinks and Southern Logic. They're both interesting similarities with the names of their channels. So you guys know I'm a big fan of Kevin Neese. He's a musician, retired cop, and huge goofball. And he's extremely dedicated to Kiely. And in addressing the trolls, I just saw a video that he did a couple days ago where like the whole thing was about one troll. And he says, if you want a troll, he loves trolls. He says they taste like chicken. So, me, not such a fan of the trolls, although I did like what he did with it as far as addressing the issues and, just dealing with it head on. That's just, to me, it's kind of a waste of time and a distraction, but he didn't waste his time and he definitely wasn't distracted the way he handled it. So, shout out to Kevin Neese. And I've got so many notes here. Kevin's got two really good questions. And Harsh has two really good questions. I'm not going to outline their questions because I want to get right to this thing that's, if you don't mind me saying, I think it's kind of brilliant. I came up with it yesterday when I was exercising, so my mind was clear. This event, whatever kind of event it was essentially an outdoor frat party hosted by Sammy. Need I say more? An outdoor frat party hosted by Sammy. And some hot chick disappears and is later found dead. What, am I disgusting to think of the disgusting things that could have happened? I don't think that makes me disgusting. I think that makes people that would do something like that disgusting. Unfortunately, these things happen and people don't want to see it. What, like they were having a party and they were exchanging gummy bears and then Kiely went missing and there she is in her car and oh, oops, girl drove herself into the water from the hatch, belted down. Come on, people. Cut the crap. So, I've spoken so many times about the Donner Party incident, right? And I was very explicit yesterday or the day before in one of my videos saying that the entire Donner Party tragedy boils down to one thing and one thing only: some effed up leadership, some really hideous leadership. They left where they took off from, I think it was like Idaho or something like that. Wherever it was that they left from, they left too late in the season and they knew it. And they also left with not enough supplies and they knew it. But they thought, hey, yeah, we'll just wing it over some mountains that we've never been to and don't really know much, but we've heard that they're really bad. So we all know how that ended, in a bloody massacre of Lord of the Flies on crack. I mean, Lord of the Flies on steroids. I mean, out of control, out of control. And then here we are now with a community, Truckee, that celebrates the event and celebrates the savagery and normalizes it like it's no big deal. And then this girl goes missing and they normalize that like it's no big deal. And they pretty much are trying to pretend she never existed. And to me, it feels like calling out this 30-year-old problem with Jared is trying to cancel out that AWP found her. Like, oh, well, they're all a bunch of worthless thugs. We can't believe anything any of them ever say. So I don't even know who Ms. Kiely Rodney is anymore, right? So really, they're trying to say that Kiely was crazy, out of control teenager, driving without a penis, okay? That was her crime. So she should suffer the consequences of doing that, rather than looking at the fact that this was an outdoor frat party organized by Sammy Smith. it was essentially the same thing as an outdoor frat party. Okay. This may sound weird, but working this event out is like trying to work out a sociopath or narcissist. Does your head in? Oh, Brenda, absolutely. I'm so glad you said that. I'm going to pin that comment because that's what gaslighting is. You know, they're just having to lie to cover up their lies, and then you can't keep up with their lies because they can't even keep up with their lies. You know what I was saying about how laying brickwork, and if you move one brick, you have to move all the bricks. And so when you lie, it's not like a puzzle piece is just missing. It's like a brick is missing, and then you have to move all the bricks. And the liars don't know, they can usually foresee a couple of those bricks. So they've already got those moved metaphorically in their mind as they're telling their lies. But then there's always something that they didn't think to cover. Always something they didn't think to cover. And it can sometimes be the littlest thing. So back to my request. I have not checked my email this morning, but as of last night, there was nobody who could come up with the Kate Cuneo video of her stating to the news camera that this event was like Lord of the Flies out of Kate Cuneo's mouth. We all know it came out of Sammy's mouth, but it also came out of Kate Cuneo's mouth. So if anybody can find that, that'll be, I think, very helpful. Because it's like the little thread, the little piece of yarn on the sweater that gets snagged and undoes the whole sweater, because she's been swearing up and down she wasn't there after it sounding like she was there. All right, so I just pinned another one. Oh goodness, it messes around with me. Okay, so Dana Diddles, it's the mass exit of vehicles that never make sense. Never been at a party where you all leave at 12:35. Right, that's one of Kevin Neese's 2 questions, I believe. Kevin Neese has 2 questions and Harsh has 2 questions. And I have about a million freaking questions, but if I was going to boil it down to 2, my first one would be, why no Amber Alert? My second one would be, who, when, thought of the fire cam? Who thought of it and when? And when did you have that? When did the authorities have that? I believe this stuff with AWP is coming out now because the victim probably got tired of people thinking of him as a hero when he's got all this bad stuff that he's keeping in the closet. Maybe not. I mean, I really want to reserve judgment until there's more information, but my concern is the timing of it coming out and the source of bringing it out. This crew is ridiculous. They are, to me, it just screams absolute sheer desperation that they don't got nothing. The information is valid, right? It's valid. It was 30 years ago. What does that have to do with Ms. Kiely Rodney? Just saying. Yeah, the analysis of Lord of the Flies is really telling. It's so frightening. It's so frightening. And it was like they were saying that to hit home their point of how frightening this party was. Again, begging the question, why would you leave your 16-year-old friend, who you say it was nowhere near sober, why would you leave her there at the Lord of the Flies thing with a bunch of creepy old guys and drugs? Because she's smart. She's smart. The stories don't make sense because they're simply stories. So another thing that I've brought up, and I don't know if anybody else has the flyer. I have it. The flyer of the alleged graduation party. It's an electronic thing. When I say flyer, I'm not talking about a piece of paper. It's an electronic screen that talks about the Prosser family campground party at 9 o'clock. And it does not say on that flyer the date or even the day of the week. So is it like every day? Is it like 9 p.m. every single day for the entire summer? Or did they forget to put the day and the date on it? Or is there a second page that I didn't come across that has that? Like, I'm gonna guess that it's because the whole thing is just fabricated and they were trying to remember all the information that they needed to put in there and they overlooked something huge. Um, right. I think that they knew, anonymous internet stranger says, I think they knew about the cams because they mentioned Cal Fire helping in a presser early on. Well, maybe so they could say, well, it was Cal Fire that, it was their job to look at that. And we just figured that they looked at it and da 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 da. Um, yeah. So I think it's really healthy to laugh. I have a story for you guys that I have not told because it's totally off track. But if anybody's heard of Patch Adams, I actually have known him my whole life. So my first memory of Patch Adams is when I was 5. And then there was that big movie about him, like, I don't know, 10, 20 years ago. I think it was 20 years ago that Robin Williams played him. Anyway, the whole thing with Patch Adams is the laughter therapy. I don't want to get off track right now. And it's why I've never brought it up because I want to stay on Kiely Rodni. So just going to the anonymous internet stranger who says 24/7 murder parties. Like, you guys, thank you for making me laugh. And then we got justice coming soon. I'm definitely not taking anything away from AWP finding Kiely. I'm so glad she was found. I just want justice for her now. Right. These are two separate issues. Like, to try to muddy the water is, to me, it's showing how desperate and scared they are. And it's revealing to me, in my opinion. Oh, and everything I say is my opinion only. I forgot to cover that part. That's like one of the most important parts. It's sheerly for conversation, discussion, and education and entertainment for YouTube. So thank you for being here. And if you feel inclined, please don't forget to hit that like button. That does a lot to help the channel. And subscribe if you haven't already. And share if you feel so moved. Those things are just absolutely key for keeping the channel strong and healthy and thriving. It's really important that the channel keep growing. It doesn't matter how big it is. It doesn't matter how much it grows. It's just really important that it keeps going that direction. And I thank you guys so much because mine just keeps going up and up and up every single time I open that analytical feature. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. Again, I don't care that it goes up 0.01. That's awesome. It's going up. That's all that matters. And that's part of that whole algorithm thing. So, you know, the keychain, the missing keychain. And again, the necklace. Why was that necklace emphasized so heavily in the beginning? Why did they never tie up that loose end of what they were talking about? And the keychain. I heard this on someone else's channel, and so I'm not going to act like I thought of it myself, but I did not write down which channel it was. If anybody can think of it or knows, the missing keychain might have had drugs in it. It could have had a little container with drugs in it. That might be a factor of what's up with this keychain. I thought that was a brilliant idea because I know I have a keychain with a little metal canister for me to keep some metformin in because I tend to have high blood sugar. So I like to have it with me at all times. I don't know. The idea of that keychain having a little compartment for drugs seemed like a light bulb going off to me because that keychain's always been mentioned as a thing. and it's never materialized. And same thing with that cell phone. It's always been a thing. I don't know that it's ever materialized. They say that it's materialized. And what? It was given to the family by law enforcement. Where did law enforcement find it? And more important than the actual physical phone is all of the electronic data. That's the most pertinent information in any situation these days. The only ones who actually know what she was wearing, her appearance, state of decomposition, etc., was AWP. Oh my God, the only people that ever saw her and have documentation of it. Right, which is exactly why they're throwing this red herring out right now. And it just, to me, solidifies the fact that they're absolute scumbags and they're absolutely desperate and scared to death. I just want to point out my little fairy doors over here. I've got a couple of fairies that live in there, in case you were wondering. Isn't that cute? Why was the necklace described in the autopsy different from the one described by the cop called Angela in the presser? You know, I've been asking that question again and again. But you might want to the background of the accuser investigate first. SF investigation, Truckee, stay focused. Yeah. I'm going to put that one pinned for a moment, and then I want to go to that next one. Oh, good morning, CNY family. You are kicking some butt. Thank you so much for your live last night. I'm trying to remember if I did actually finally get to watch your 2-hour one from a couple of days ago, because when I sat down to watch it last night, I got onto your live. And I've just been working really hard at trying to stay focused with my priorities of certain channels and certain lives. So you're one of them for sure. Anybody who doesn't know CNY Family Channel, she's 100% dedicated to Kiely. She's doing some really solid work, some really solid research, and she found the whole laundry list of crimes of the stepdad of Anthony Neiman. So it's pretty bad. It's pretty grisly. Like, he's a career criminal. And then Lindsay thinks it's a good idea to have a baby with him and have her little 8-year-old or 7-year-old at the time, 7-year-old daughter move into a house with him miles away from anything. All right. So, Tamlin, why was the necklace described in the autopsy different from the one described by the cop called Angela in the presser? Right. Because they said that they kept calling it a necklace, right? They kept saying that she had a necklace that she always wore. And here it is in these pictures. It's got 3 chains that cascade down. And I have focused on that necklace a lot because they focused on that necklace a lot. It was like a bigger deal than her car. It was like a bigger deal than her missing. Oh, the necklace is missing. The necklace is missing. It's just like, these people are so stupid. Stupid. Yeah, it seems really sus. Absolutely. I Pixie Knicker says, "You have fairies? I want one." I love like little fairy gardens and stuff like that. That's one of my things. Check out Squirrels on Fire analysis of picture of Kiely seemingly in the back seat of a car, photoshopped there when actually in leaves on the ground, deceased, beat up severely. Oh my God. I have not checked that out. But that's also at the top of my list. And then again, going back to Elsa saying that she fell in a hole so that they could cover for all of the debris on her and dirt and stuff like that. So disgusting. Right. CNY family, I'm going to highlight your thing because some people that are in the medical field told me that actually when they take jewelry off of somebody, like say for surgery, that's how they describe it, is yellow if it's not white, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I thought it was really odd, but I guess that's how they do it in the industry of when you have a body and you have jewelry, that you describe something that's golden in color, just as yellow. You know, I mean, the only sense I can make of that is that you don't want people to know that there's gold in the locker that might get stolen by an employee. That's the only thing I can make sense of it. But to finish up that thought about the three necklaces, is that in the autopsy, they say three necklaces. They say each one of the three necklaces has some type of pendant hanging from it. And in the pictures, you see three necklaces, and the top two skinny ones have pendants hanging off of them. And then the very large, thick gold cord that's the bottom one does not have any pendants on it. And it looks like it is all one necklace. And the way that they described it in those pressers was that it was one necklace that cascaded into three. There was even one photograph where it looked like it had the clasp where it transitioned from the one chain going around the back to the three chains. However, I have found photographs of the back of her neck wearing three chains. That could be a separate thing, like maybe that was three chains, and maybe that necklace that cascades is one, because they very, very, very specifically kept saying one necklace with three chains. So I don't know. I mean, these people are just so out of control, absolutely out of control. This whole thing, this whole gaslighting extravaganza, starting with this outdoor frat party organized by Sammy herself, Lisa Lewis. The suspicion regarding Sammy will follow her for years to come. The best thing would be an investigation of what happened, even if it still comes out accident. Too many loose ends and red flags. Um, mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was not an accident on Kylie's part. It could have been an accident on somebody else's part, but um, yeah, the whole thing is just crap. It's awful. Sleepy photo, their last video. It's weird though that Squirrels on Fire always leaves their comments on after a video. And the last one with the photo of her body, supposedly. Yeah, it is super creepy. The immediately when I saw that photo the very first time, the one that says sleepy, where's my hat? I'm doing it. I'm just gonna keep a hat around at all times because the bangs just do weird stuff when I'm on camera. It's just my thing, you know. Anyway, yeah, the Squirrels on Fire leaving the comments on a video, the photograph of her in her flannel shirt in a position that looks like she might be sleeping. But when they put the text on it that said sleepy, that made me even more suspicious than the photo itself. Like, okay, yeah, we can see that she's sleeping. Are you putting sleepy on it so we don't confuse it with dead? Because that's what it's always seemed like to me. And yeah, the more you look at that photo, the weirder it is. And I'm really excited to watch that video of Squirrels on Fire because she does a tremendous job breaking these things down. So, one of the best parts of these YouTube podcasts and how they tie in with the media is that we can give spotlights on situations that kind of fall through the cracks of mainstream media. So a lot of times that's populations that don't typically get the spotlight, and a situation like this, right? I mean, yeah, we have a lot of other missing people. We have a lot of other deceased people. We have a lot of other murdered people. So we can choose to stay focused on Kiely. It's our prerogative. We live in a free country. Thank goodness, right? Um, so, you know, nobody likes to talk about the idea of Kiely being trafficked, even if it was just for a few hours or longer. Nobody likes to talk about that. Nobody likes to think about it. Um, but I think that it's extremely naive to pretend that that's not a possibility. Again, what happens at frat parties? I mean, frat parties, come on. This was like an outdoor Lord of the Flies frat party, according to Miss Sammy, who organized it, and according to Kate, who swears she wasn't there. Why is there a black mark in the center of the photo on the last seen photo at the gas station? What do you think? I don't know what black mark you're talking about, but let me pin that. I'll have to go look at that. Public comments are now turned off on the reply of that video now. Squirrel never cuts out their public comments off, even on replays, if it's the only one. Just odd. Right. And Kaz Thinks says that she's been losing subscribers and she has not been deleting them herself. And, nobody's been expressing discord like, oh, I'm out of here, I'm going to unsubscribe. So she is thinking that YouTube might be trimming down her subscribers. I mean, if this is as bad as we think it is, these people have ties to people that would own YouTube, right? I mean, think about it. So we are already at 36 minutes. Let's try to keep it under 40. Yes, there's a kid, Noah, who was recently arrested for raping somebody who was drugged. I haven't heard about that one yet. Here, let me go in order real quick. This makes David Copperfield, you like kids show. I'm sorry, this Game of Thrones is so in front of us and we call out foul play and they have walls if blocking the move. It's time to click, Dorothy. I like that, Mary Thomas. I think the reason why that TV show was so popular, the Game of Thrones, just like Sopranos, let's just talk about those two and not throw too many in there, but it exemplifies like a Greek tragedy, kind of what everyday life is like for people, right? I mean, it's extreme, it's exaggerated, it's blood, guts, and gore. It's like the Gladiators, right? That's my opinion of why those shows are so popular. So, yeah, these people in Truckee are doing their Game of Thrones, and for them, they don't want the spotlight on them, but they got the spotlight on them. And so now they're trying to put the spotlight on Jared, is the way I see this situation. So let me look at my other notebook. That was my cute, tiny, adorable notebook. Petite journal, it says. Picked that up at an art supply shop so that I always have one with me at all times. And here's my bigger notebook. So do Jared's prosecuted crimes cancel out Sheriff Wu's unprosecuted crimes that really eliminate him from ever being a candidate for a sworn officer, the commissioned law enforcement, especially in a leadership position? So I'm going to repeat that. How do Jared's prosecuted crimes from 30 years ago cancel out Wu's unprosecuted crimes? And he's been in charge of the Kiely Rodney case from go. And although it's technically in Nevada County's hands, he still has his hands in it. Mr. Investigates, working for the family. I don't understand how he introduced himself to the family, then all this strange stuff. Right. Yeah. That's weird. It's really weird. It just dawned on me that this could have been some sort of initiation into a college club. Yeah, Jamie, thank you for saying that. It absolutely has always smacked of that possibility for sure. So yes, anonymous internet stranger SF saw an opportunity and went for it. I don't know if I have a mod in here. I don't think I do. That's all right though. And yeah. Wu versus Jared. Great point, Justice. Thank you. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like they're trying to cancel out Wu's admitted criminal unethical, illegal behavior. They're trying to cancel that out with Jared's unethical, criminal, illegal behavior that he was processed through a court of law 30 years ago, it looks like. So, um, you know, where's the court of law for Sheriff Wu? Here we are 2 days before their election day, before they get to transition Sheriff Wu from interim sheriff. I believe he's interim sheriff right now to permanent sheriff. It's shameful. It really makes me want to throw up, because every single law enforcement officer in the world, but let's just stick with America, they risk their lives every single day. They are trained in how to protect the lives of others. They will throw their body down on the train tracks to protect the life of others because they're trained. That's what they're paid for. So for these people that take home the paycheck and don't do that, and they're the ones that people need to be protected from, it's so hateful. It's absolutely despicable. It makes it almost impossible for the first responders to get the respect that they deserve and is required. You can't call a first responder if you don't trust that they're going to help the situation. If you're concerned that that first responder is going to see a vulnerability that they can take advantage of. And this is where I give Lindsay some leeway of why it took her so many hours to call 911 on Saturday, August 6th. Maybe that's what she was thinking. Maybe she knew Wu's history, and she knew that Wu was the sheriff of Placer County, where her Truckee address is in Placer County. Maybe she knew what happened with that 16-year-old. Maybe she saw that affidavit and she thought, my God, if my 16-year-old is out there missing and this guy finds her, then what? You know, adding insult to injury, making the situation worse than it already was. It's an idea. It's just one idea. I'm not saying that's what happened. But, you know, a lot of us have wondered why she didn't report her daughter missing until 5 in the evening on that Saturday, when she says she knew she was missing when she woke up at 8 a.m. and then went to Starbucks to meet up with her friends that were planning on meeting her there to go camping. And we all know the rest of it. All right. Yeah, Lindsay probably didn't want to call the police. I'm going to highlight that one. Right. If there's illegal activity going on too. So, yeah. So, you know, going back to the basics of the autopsy, and then we'll wrap it up for this morning. The hardware in Ms. Kiely's left arm, the plate, the metal plate, would have a social, or not a social security number on it. That's another issue from the autopsy. No social. But the serial number on the metal plate in her left arm should have been matched to a serial number from her medical records, right? And then there's no social security number on her death certificate. Like, they couldn't have just asked the mom, but that would be where they could have contacted her old employer or her school or the Department of licensing for her driver's license. No social security number on her autopsy. I can't believe I missed that. So thanks to Kaz, thanks for hitting that one home in her most recent video about it. So you guys, this case, Ms. Kiely Rodney, we are here for you, right? We will not give up. We will find justice for you, come hell or high water. I believe it's missing her birthday as well on the death certificate. I think her birthday might be on it, Dana, but her place of birth is not on it. Now, these are significant issues that really do open the door to the possibility that this was not her. On that, let's wrap it. Again, if you haven't yet, please remember to hit the like button on your way out and subscribe. And share if you feel inclined. And thank you guys for being here with me. Have a fabulous Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I hope that you can get some exercise and stretch and eat well. High protein and lots of vegetables and fruits, and drink your water, stay hydrated. You know, love what you do and do what you love. Find what inspires you. Being inspired is the most important thing, in my humble opinion. So, take care, and we'll see you first thing in the morning. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you guys to the moon and back.